Hello everyone, welcome back with Mrs. Struble. Today we're going to be talking about area of circles. By the end of this video, we will have discussed calculating area of any given circle and how to use the area of a circle in order to find missing measurements and also the area of a semicircle too. So let's get started. Area of a circle. The area of the circle is the product of pi and the square of the radius. In other words, area of a circle is equal to pi r squared, where r is our radius. Before we go into our examples, let's review a little bit about exponents. Here is an exponent. In area, in order to calculate area, we need to understand how to utilize exponents correctly. An exponent tells us how many times we are using the base as a product. In other words, r squared means we are taking r times r, whatever r is. So if r is equal to 5, we would take 5 times 5 and then multiply that by pi. Okay? So let's do a couple of examples here. In this example, we see that they have given us this diameter measurement of 26 inches. Let's find the area of this circle. Again, in order to calculate area, let's start with the formula. And area equals pi r squared. Okay. We do not know r, but we can easily find it. The problem gave us the diameter. So in order to find the radius, we just take the diameter and divide it by 2 to get a radius of 13. Now we can substitute the 13 into our formula. Pi times 13 squared. Expanding that out, we are doing 13 times 13 times, and we're going to use 3.14 here. Well, 13 times 13 is 169. Times that by pi, to get 530 and 66 hundredths. Don't forget our label. We're talking area here, so remember that that is a two-dimensional measurement. We're talking about squared units. So our area is 530 and 66 hundredths inches squared. Let's move on to the second example. Here we see a much smaller circle. It is giving us a radius of 7. Start with the formula. Area is equal to pi r squared. And let's substitute in what we know. We know the radius, so we don't have to do any further calculations. We just do 7 squared. And we're going to times it by 3.14. Doing the exponents first, 7 squared is the same thing, is equivalent to 49. And 3.14 times 49 is 153 and 86 hundredths. Put in our labels. We're talking about centimeters squared. So the area of this second circle is 153 and 86 hundredths centimeters squared. Let's have you try some. Go ahead and try these two problems. Pause the video, try them out, and I'll be back with the answers. Now that you've tried it, here are the answers. For the first one, substituting it in was easy. The radius was already given to you, so we just took pi times 6 squared. 6 squared was 36, so 36 times 3.14 is 113 and 400ths. Feet squared was our label. Make sure you have that label on there. In the second one, we were given the diameter. We had to do some quick thinking and take the diameter divided by 2 in order to find the radius of 14. After substituting that in to our formula and evaluating the expression, we got 615 and 44 hundredths meters squared. So now that we know how to calculate the area, let's see what other uses we could use this for. Our first use is to find missing measures of any circle. So if I know the area and maybe I need to find the diameter or even the radius, I can use that knowledge in order to help me do so. So in this example, we have a circle that has an area of 78.5 yards squared. It wants us to try and calculate the diameter. We could also find the radius. So let's do this. We're going to work this problem backwards, starting with the formula utilized in order to calculate the area. We know that the formula for area that they used was pi r squared. We also know they used 3.14 for pi. And we know the area. So let's substitute those values. We still don't know the radius, or what it is squared for that matter, but let's see if we can get closer to solving that problem. Our ultimate goal would be to isolate the r. Now, right now it's r squared. In a later video, we'll talk about how you could find r even if there's a square root involved. For right now, let's see if this shapes up to be a nice problem. And maybe we could do it mentally. In order to isolate, we divide both sides by 3.14. The pi cancels on the right-hand side, and we're left with 78.5 divided by 3.14 is equal to r squared. This tells us that whatever r is, r squared is equal to 25. Remember what squared means? It means r times r is equal to 25. And this one we can do in our head. We know that r is then therefore equal to 5. And what was our label again? 5 yards. Now that we know r, we can find the ultimate goal of diameter. Times it by 2, and we get the diameter is equal to 10 yards. So that's finding missing measures. We could also find areas of composite figures and semicircles even, using this knowledge. Right. Again, we're going to start with the formula. Area equals pi r squared. And we're simply going to substitute in what we know and figure out what we don't. Okay. Here, we are given the diameter of 30. We need the radius. So we're going to divide that by 2, and we're going to get a radius of 15. So our area is equal to 3.14 times 15 squared. 15 squared is 225. Times that by 3.14 to get our area, oops, hold on, of 706.5 feet squared. That's the area of a full circle though. Oh, so how could we find a semicircle? Well, it's easy. A semicircle is half of a circle. So we just take our area divided by 2. And our area of this semicircle is 353 and 25/100 feet squared. Let's let you give it a try. Try and find the area of these semicircles. Make sure you're rounding correctly here too, as the directions entail, and use 3.14 for pi. Pause the video. I'll be back with the answers. Now that you've tried them, here's the answers. For the first one, it gave us our radius of 11 centimeters. So all we had to do was substitute and evaluate from there. So 11 squared was 121 times 3.14 was 379.94, and then just divide that by 2 to find our final area of this semicircle. For the second one, number 4, sorry, I called the top one number 1, but for number 4, it gave us our diameter. So our first step was to make sure that we knew the radius, not the diameter. If the diameter was equal to 8, we knew that the radius had to have been 4. So substituting 4 into the formula for radius and 4 squared, we got 16. What I did here was I reduced so that I didn't have to divide later. So I just saw that we could reduce 16 and 2 because 16 was a multiple of 2. Divide by 2 to get 8. So my answer was 3.14 times 8, which was 25 and 12/100 meters squared. In this video, we talked about area, and we learned how to calculate the area of any given circle. We also learned how to utilize area of a circle in order to find missing measures of that circle and how to calculate the area of a semicircle too. Well, that wraps it up for me in this video. Thank you for joining me. This is Mrs. Struble with Struble Math. See ya!